Hey, Jenna here with Deb and Fun. I am live here on YouTube again. I had a great time last time. Say hi if you see me and come on. I would love to see you and see that you're here. I am going to paint the AudreyII in honor of our little eclipse we had here in Ohio earlier this week. I was super excited. I've always wanted to see totality, so that was like a really cool experience. I loved it. Hope you got to see it wherever you are. And I hope if you haven't got to see it or didn't get to see it, that you get to see one sometime in your life, because it was pretty neat. It was what I had hoped for. So I want to tell you. So I drew this on just a little cardstock, and then I took my pencil and rubbed it all over to get the transfer. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer this to my watercolor paper here. Try to line this up because I didn't quite draw it lined up. I think I'm going to move it down because I might write above it. I don't know. I'm going to leave it up. Just kidding. Let's do this. I'm going to wing it. All right. And then I'm going to hopefully, I normally do this on like copy paper. So I think this should still, yes, it's still transferring. Oop, I'm just going to push a little harder since this paper is a little thicker. And I'm just tracing what I've already drawn. I meant to watch this movie Monday night and I forgot after the eclipse. It's such a weird, goofy, retro movie. The 80s and 90s had some of the weirdest stuff, and I loved it. I miss it. The weird music and the weird fantasy sci-fi stuff. If you look at any of my paintings that I've done, a lot of them are inspired by the weird 80s and 90s movies and shows and or books that I love books too. Speaking of which, I have a really awesome subscription box getting ready to come out. I'm actually sending it out. It'll be in June. Right now I'm getting a wait list because it's going to be super limited. So if you're interested in that, get on the wait list. And it is going to be a subscription box where you create art and paint and mix media, but you're also getting a really beautiful collectible classic book that will inspire the art that will go along with it. And you will be creating the art. I will teach you how. And then we'll be reading the book and creating art together. So it'll be like an art/book club. All right, so hopefully you can see that there. Got a nice light transfer of my AudreyII. I think I'm going to just darken it up a little bit. So a couple of these are a little light. I don't want to lose it. Okay. And then now I am going to go ahead and start painting. So I've got my brushes. So these brushes and this paint I've got here are an add-on that you can add on to your subscription box too if you need paint and brushes. Everything else you need to create your artwork. So there'll be papers where we can do this like weekly together, just like this. And then this will be the first little mixed media project that we'll create because our book is going to have the is the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. So we've got that's our mixed media piece, and then we're going to weekly create like a little mini artwork to just keep ourselves creative and give ourselves some time to relax, because that is what reading and art is about, in my opinion. Obviously, people do both those things for other reasons, but that is the main reason I use art and reading. Now something is going on. I must not have. So you can see my brush is a little frayed. It should work okay once I get the paint on it. I might have to reshape it. Oh, there we go. It's getting just dried frayed. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab my bigger round brush, number 5, get it in some water there. And then we're going to go ahead and start painting our AudreyII. So I'm going to pick up my light green. And so I like to usually just color it in like I'm painting in a coloring book to start off with. And then I go back and add the details later. I am painting on watercolor paper, which I really like with my acrylic because it can handle the weight. And then I do like to use water a lot with my acrylic when painting. So this is, I think, 140-pound watercolor paper. But this would be something that I would include in your subscription. Or if you want to go ahead and just grab your own, you can definitely do that. All right, so we've got the leaves around the pod, and then I'm going to mix like a lighter green for the pod itself. I feel like I don't think I put any yellow on my palette here, so let me get some yellow. Here we go. And I want it a little lighter, a little more yellow. Now, if you darken up your pencil a little more than I did, you'd be able to see I did not darken it up much. But you could darken it to where you could see your lines much better. Or you could even take like a pen and that would make it easier. So I drew this guy myself freehand, so not too worried about getting it. It's not a person. My trouble is people. I have to like be really careful drawing people. A weird alien plant I can do. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cover him. But like I said, if you were to want to do this and get the tracer from me, just let me know and I'll send it to you. But if you were wanting to do this, I would probably darken it up. So that way you can see all the little veins and everything. All right, and then I'm gonna do the lighter color for the stem and for his vines. All right, he's looking pretty cool so far. Get this fine over here, and then we can move on. So I'm going to do the petals around the bud, sort of a purplish. I believe they're like purpley pink. Either way, if they were not, that's the color I'm making them. My alien guy is going to look the way I want him to. All right. So I need to mix a purpley pink color for the leaves. So I've got my red and I've got my tealish. I'm going to try the tealish green first. I want to see what color that ends up instead of adding blue. Might be a little too brown, but we'll try it. No, it's very purpley. I'm going to add some white. Sort of grade it down. Not quite what I was wanting. Might have to add blue. It's not too bad. I definitely want it brighter though. Okay, so let me grab my light blue and see what happens. That was a lot. I did not need that much blue. All right, let's mix them over there. That's better. More white. More red. All right, I like that color. That's pretty good. So I've got like a purpley, sorry, I was off camera there. Got like a purpley, so I did the blue, the red, and a little bit of white. And we got like a weird purpley color, which is what I was going for. So we are going to, I'm trying to think. I'm going to do down by the pod. And I'm just going to, because I'm going to blend some color into this. I'm going to switch to my smaller brush. I do not know what I did to this brush, but I let it dry crazy. So I'm going to have to clean it, and then I've seen where, and I've tried this, that works pretty well, where you take soap, like a bar soap, which I have for my brushes anyway, and sort of shape the bristles and let it dry with the soap on it, and it should dry back. However, I've also used, which I feel like has worked the best for me, where you boil water. And then since these are synthetic, you dip the brush in the boiled water and it reshapes the bristles for you like really well. That's worked the best. So I might have to do something along those lines. Because this guy is all frayed. Don't know what I did to it. Okay. Good. All right, so now I want to add, I think I'm going to add some streaks of red in there. Yeah, I like that. Looks cool. I'm going to add a little more water so I can get that red sort of blended up a little more. There we go. And then I'm going to add green on the tips of the petals. And I'm going to take my brush that has water in it and take it all the way to the tip of the petal. So that way when I put the green in it, it'll sort of become like a wash. Sorry, I keep going off. Let me move you. There we go. Keep going off the camera a little. Okay. So now I'm going to pick up, I'm going to do the darker green, I think. Let's see how this goes. Ooh, yeah, that looks cool. I'm going to switch back to my other brush. So this is the cool thing about the water color paper. You can treat it like you're painting with watercolor. And so I added the water and you can see how it's like blending together. That looks very cool. All right. Pull them up for you. I'm really liking the petals. They blended really neat. Okay. So I'm going to do his tongue. I'm going to use a little bit of red and I want a tiny bit of white because I don't want it quite that dark. Okay. I'm going around his teeth right now. I know you probably can't see that very well, but we need to do his lips. I'm going to make them like a pinkish color. All right. So I'm going to use a little bit of my purple that I already have here because I want it like a purpley pink. I'll add a little more red and then pick up some white. All right, so I've got his lips on there. I'm gonna let those dry and I'll probably add a little bit more color to that. And then I'm gonna get his pot done and then we'll start adding a little more detail to him. So I've got like this terracotta color here. And I'm gonna add a little bit of shading underneath him. Okay. And then I'm gonna mix a tiny bit lighter color for the edge of the pot. Okay. Oh, I almost forgot his little veiny areas around his pod. We need to get those done. So, trying to think of what color I want to do those in. I think I'm gonna do them in a bluish color. Hardest part is getting the right consistency of wet and dry. Not so wet that it puddles. All right. Use that same color to use a little bit of shading on the green parts. So that bluish. All right. And then I'm going to add my pen here in a second. To get some more detail. Alrighty, let's see. And then let me grab my pen. So now you can see his teeth a little better. So a couple weeks ago, we were at the store, my kids and we went through the garden section, and they saw Venus flytraps and like lost their minds over it. Wanted one so bad. They had no idea that Venus flytraps were real. They thought they were a fantasy plant. They thought they were only in stories. So they've been like super excited about having this Venus flytrap, and we got to see it. It did eat one thing so far. We didn't get to see it actually snap down on it, but we could see the bug inside. I think it was a fly or something. It sits on my windowsill, which the bugs love. So, but yeah, it was pretty cool. They are carnivorous plants are pretty amazing creation for sure. But that was just fun that they had no idea that that was a real thing. They were only in stories, they thought. So cute. They do seem pretty wild that they exist. I will give them that. It is weird that there's a plant that eats bugs. All right. I think he needs a little bit of highlight and then he'll be done. So I'm going to add a little bit of white, especially to his lips here. His tongue. All right. There's our AudreyII. Pretty fun. Acrylic paint on watercolor paper. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with me. And if you want the tracer for this guy, just to have something fun to remember the week by, send me a message. Go over to my Facebook, Dip and Fun Facebook, and send me a message, and I'll send you the tracer for this guy. All right. Thanks. Let me know if you watch it and what you think.